All right, I want to call to order the May 14th, 2026 Health and Wellness Committee, Subcommittee. If we can all rise and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for being here today. I just like everyone we've done, just because we do this quarterly and we do have some people in the room. If we wouldn't mind just we're just going to quickly go around the room and introduce ourselves. So I'm just going to start. I'm Sean Williams. I'm on the school committee. I am the chair of this committee. And I'm going to.
I'm Kurt Ricks. I'm on the SEL team. I'm currently stationed at Lippert Elementary.
I'm Karen Wetherill, co-director of Rhode Island Healthy Schools Coalition.
My name is Mary Sullivan, and I am the family engagement facilitator at Scott Elementary School.
Hi, Natasha Johnson. I'm the Title I Family Engagement Facilitator at Hoxie School.
Ryan McGowan. I own Laid Back Fitness in Warwick, and I have 3 kids in the school system.
I'm Kayla Quirk. I oversee the school meal program and purchasing department for the district.
I'm Nicole Tomaselli. I am the school nurse at Wyman Elementary.
Allison Raza, school nurse, Holloman.
Tim Kane, director of secondary.
Thank you all for being here. As you see, we have no new business. We had a kind of a busy school week this week, so getting the agenda and getting items, and also getting want to get some feedback from Mr. Kroll. I will say we started to do our intramural sports program at the middle schools, and so we started the volleyball, and they did 4 straight weeks of volleyball over there. They had up to 80 kids involved. Again, I don't want to speak for Dave, but I believe that considering we have an intramural sports for a very long time, it was a very very successful launch of the program, so we have that. Some of the older, the old business that I wanted to go over was we're still obviously in desperate need of getting people onto this committee and here. I know you wanted to have more teachers or people that are involved that are in the schools every day. That's why they're here. They're here to explain a little bit more about what they do and how important they are. And then Mr. Ricks as well can also attest to some of the things that go on at Lippert Elementary. Obviously, we want to get more engagement from our principals, want to get more engagement from our teachers, and more engagement from, obviously, we have our nurses here, but we want to get, other people involved in it. I just mentioned the intramural thing that is going well. Because Mr. Cole's not here, it's difficult to talk about what the next steps are going to be for that program, what we're going to look at in the fall, what we're going to look at in the winter, and look in the spring for next year. Hoping the next meeting will be able to do that. Number 3 is a policy that oversees this committee. That is actually being taken up by the policy committee, which I'm actually on as well. And we're going to actually look a little deeper to make sure that the things that are being said in this room are going to be attributed to that policy. So I don't want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone by talking about the policy in here and then policy make changes. I'm bringing back that information to our policy committee to make the changes that may be necessary for that particular policy. So really, this is going to become an open forum discussion for the groups that we have here. I'm going to pass off to Karen first to talk about what's going on in her world, and then we're going to kind of flow from there, if that makes sense for everybody.
Okay, I just want to offer 2 comments before we go on. So about, I applaud you really trying to build this committee up and to include more members. I do want to mention that the state law that requires the establishment of district health and wellness committees does state that a majority of the members should be non-school employees, not employed by the school district. I understand that's challenging. I was talking to a district the other day because I'm not providing legal advice or to but I think it is important. And the reason why the law was written that way is that it's very important. People like Ryan, parents in the district are involved, community members, a business owner. So I think as much as including more staff is good, you're a big district. I do think you want input. I think having the family engagement is terrific, having you involved in SEL, but just be mindful of trying to reach out and include families and community members. And then there's really nothing better than having students. I think it's a great opportunity for them, a growth opportunity, a learning opportunity. Oftentimes they can use it for community service, but what they bring oftentimes to meetings is so much more a different perspective. And sometimes they have very creative solutions when, the committee's discussing something and they have great ideas or have a way of asking the right staff people. I think we talked about it last time around intramurals, and I've seen that when, an email may go out from the athletic director or the principal, everyone's like, oh, no, I don't have time. But when the kids say, I think you would be perfect, Ms. So-and-so, would you be the, a volleyball intramural program? So
That was the hope of Mr. Kroll, to try to get some of the students that were involved in that program to come and talk about it, and they excited about it, obviously.
Yeah.
And I did speak to other parents. It's, timing becomes one of those things where
I know
it's-
everyone's busy.
everybody-
and
so-
has-
But I agree that we trying to push it as much as we can to get as many parents and students as well.
And I think if the committee, and maybe looking again towards next year, everyone has a little more energy in September than they do in May. And the schedules, and everyone's schedule changes every year, right? You could have a different job, you could be working from home, and you have you can't forget that you've got a new group of parents coming in every single year. So I just think having that notice that the committee is looking for people and maybe kind of giving them an idea what the issues are that would be addressed. I think it's important to do that recruitment. And then the second thing just to mention is, and I will look to see when I did, there's that WellSat. Did I give you, Sean? I can't remember. We did it years ago with a former.
I didn't, you did it with Karen, but I don't have it. No.
Okay.
I think Kristen has a copy of it.
Yeah, and that might have been from the old. I'll look and see if we have, and this is something called a WellSat, and it's a national tool that is used to assess the language of your policy. So number one is, does it meet all of the statutory requirements, federal and state? And then there are provisions that have to be included by federal regulations. So you can use this tool that rates your policy. So if we don't have one, because I can't remember, I'll check to see if
I
it's
think
on.
he says, I think Kristen does have it. Kristen,
Okay.
that's why Kristen was stopping the policy that we have.
Yeah.
And to bring into policy to assure the board that.
Okay, okay. So
Start assuring that we are.
yeah, okay. So I'll look at that, but what I want to say that's almost more important, I would say, and I think Warwick, you're probably ready for this now under your leadership in this new committee, is it's not just about having the policy. That's important, and you are going to be quote unquote audited. Kayla knows an administrative review. It's kind of the correct term for it, but it's an audit that the Department of Education does on behalf of the USDA to make sure that your meals program is in compliance with everything from the financials to the procurement to the nutrition standards, participation, et cetera. But they're going to look at the wellness policy and they're going to ask very specific questions. So it's important that you can provide evidence of that. But what is required, and what's I think most important, is every 3 years you're supposed to do an assessment of the implementation. And that's really where the rubber hits the road, right? It's not just about, does your policy say, we are, our health curriculum is in alignment with the Rhode Island framework K-12. That's good. You should have it in there and say that. But what's really happening in the schools? So there are tools to use. And I would say it probably is a good idea for next year to put that as a goal, is to actually do that assessment. And there's something we developed. It's done on a Google platform, so it can be shared with principals and they can ask their nurses maybe some of the questions, food service definitely, because they may not know all the answers. And then it also asks of the schools, like, based on if they're meeting a standard, they need improvement, or they're exceeding it, and then to say, what are the things, because we believe there's good things happening everywhere, what are the things that you're doing well that you should celebrate and maybe could be shared across district, and then having the schools really reflect on where are the things that they could use support. And then that's very helpful for a committee like this at a district level to say, now we have some data and some input from the schools on their own self-reflections on what they could use help with. So it's a kind of a good place to start with. And it is now part of the requirement. They call it a triennial assessment. And I know your policy says that it's being done. So I just think probably looking at that policy and saying, are we actually doing all the things?
Yeah, and we had conversations, Kristen and I, about what we need to do.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. Is assuring that that's why we're including, more of the SEL.
Yeah.
We're adding to it as well.
Yeah. Which I think
Jen
is.
from there, she's been great. She's come
Yep.
down. This is the only meeting she hasn't been at.
Yeah.
So it's the only one she hasn't been at.
No, she's very much, involved. And again, just to make it clear, I probably said this before, but to new people, when you look at the wellness policy, and maybe you've added things, but for years, the federal requirement that you have one was from the USDA, and it was starting in 2009 about really childhood obesity. So it focused on the nutrition environment, the school meals program, physical education, health education, physical activity. So when you look at that assessment, those are the minimum requirements. I think most districts now recognize it's so interconnected. Mental health, social emotional health, it's all connected. So many have included that language, but a lot of people sometimes would be like, this is the wellness policy. Why is it only talking about food and PE, why isn't it talking about mental health? And that's really why, because that's the requirements. But it's not to say that this committee or you can't add more language to the policy, which most districts are not doing.
So, Farm Fresh is, we were going to have an update, from Farm Fresh RI.
Yeah, I'm surprised, Sarah.
I am, because
Yeah, I know she was racing here. She's part of the URI graduation, which is this weekend.
my son's part of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
my son's good.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, big
Thank you.
weekend.
But a busy
And
week.
I know she was going to talk about, there's been a number of grants and programs, so it's a little confusing, but there was one that a Brown University health researcher had put in, and Sarah was interested because she's always on the lookout at the Warwick resident, and she didn't lead. She was the coach for your Farming to School Institute team. She's always looking for where can there be money to help to actually, implement some of the things. And around this grant, there would be some funding that could be used for that. So she really wanted to come to just explain that a little bit more, so there wasn't confusion, and to understand how that might, work in the schools and what work would need to do around that.
Yeah, and that was my hope. And again, schedules are crazy.
Yeah,
So
I
at the end
know.
of the day,
It's a tough time of year.
It's a tough time of year. Like you said, September, they're a little bit more energetic than they are in May. So, and sometimes, things drop off calendars too. So, when we look. Aramark also not here. So I'm gonna leave it to Mary and Natasha to kind of just high level what you guys are doing, at Scott, what you're doing at Oxy.
And I will just segue that Mary and we also have 2 other family engagement facilitators. There are 5 Title I schools in Warwick, which I don't want to be redundant. I feel everyone here probably knows that.
I don't.
Okay, so I'll start from the beginning. I didn't want to
That's okay.
insult any or bore
I'll take
anyone.
more information. Than
Yeah,
that.
so there's 12 elementary schools in Warwick, I believe. So 5 of those are Title I. And that's just a certain percentage of the school population is below the poverty level. And that is based off, they get those numbers by the free and reduced lunch numbers. So that's why we really push the importance of every family to fill out the free and reduced lunch, because it gives us our numbers. That's what it goes off of. And we do preach that it's not to parents, that it's not trying to be invasive. We're not trying to like get your income and be in your business, but the more the district knows, the more funding we can get, the more grants we can get, the more information we have to work with. Mary and I, all of our facilitators, actually, there are 4 of us. 3 of us are part-time, 1 of us is full-time and does 2 schools. I'm at Hoxie, Mary's at Scott. Between all of us, we are all residents and parents in Warwick.
Yeah. we have
Yeah, so in elementary and secondary education. So we are kind of all over, and it's what led me to this job. I started as a volunteer, and then I got more involved and more involved and more involved, and then this job became open. And I don't think there's anything more important than parents having a full understanding of what's going on in the schools. We have a lot of parents that are anxiety ridden, whether it be their own trauma. So anyways, I'm getting off topic, but no, that's just sorry, I'm also on cameras. That's just the janitor leaving. So a big part of what we do as family engagement facilitators is to offer free educational events for the entire family. A requirement of our events is that it must be the whole family. It is for the parent or the caregiver, grandparent, whoever cares for the child, to come and be involved in that event with their child. We're not here to do it with your child. It's not the parent goes and stands off. These are whole family events. And then I also have been working very hard to keep our parent and caregiver coffee hours, which are held during the school day. And we do iReady ramp ups, where our instructional coach, who is also a Title I funded position, she comes in and we explain iReady to parents. We teach them how to read iReady scores, how to understand iReady. A big part of what we do is to educate the parents and the caregivers on what the students are doing. So when the students go home, they're not like, I have no idea, this is so different from when I was in school. The more you know, the calmer you are, the more that you can help your child. And if the parent is calmer, the child is calmer. So that's kind of how I lead everything we do. So minimum once a month, we have an evening event. It's whether it's STEM related, we team with community partners all the time. We had the Rhode Island Autobahn come in this year. We did Raptors of Rhode Island. So they came in and did a lesson all about birds of prey in our area. They brought an owl in. We teamed with Mad Science, and they did a fire and ice assembly. Is that what you call that presentation, which was interactive. We held that at Vets, so we could house even more. So we try to switch it up every year, do things a little bit different.
Healthy habits with the food
Healthy
bank,
habits.
taking you into a class.
So we work with the Rhode Island Food Bank, and they put on healthy habits, and that teaches families new recipes, easy, accessible recipes. We try to send them home with food. We also have food pantries at all of our schools we have backpack programs. So if there are any families that need extra food, some of our facilitators do it. At Hoxie, I have a volunteer who mans it, so we work together, and we pack backpacks full of food every weekend, every vacation, so our little ones that need a little extra support have meals throughout the weekend. We've teamed with Dave's Market. The Shriners donated us a ton of money, so now we have Amazon, so we have more and more ways to provide healthy food.
Cameron Kiddick has gotten us awesome.
Cameron is kind of our leader. She has a curriculum tonight, so she couldn't be here. She'd be here probably.
She's gotten us
Really doing a better job
grants
explaining all of this than me.
for help with the food. Cameron.
What else do we do? So Title I, aside from our family engagement, it's extra funding for staff. So we have math interventionalists, reading interventionalists. That kind of changes year to year. So I'm not going to talk on that too much as funding changes, positions change. And I do believe that principals talk with Paul Heatherton about exactly how they're going to use their Title I funding. We are just a portion of that Title I funding.
That's a good question.
Yeah, please do.
So, I know that one of the nurses, I don't know which 5 schools these are.
Oh, do you want me to?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, sure. So it's Hoxie, Scott, Oakland Beach, Norwood, and Lippet.
Okay. Okay. I know, we don't have, cause I guess my school, Wyman, is not one of them. And so I'm still, and this might not be a question for you, may just be like an out there question for anyone. But we do have a food pantry and I want to help out the families that are in need.
Mhm.
But I also don't know this because it's my first year, I'm unfamiliar. And it seems very like this information is hidden. My clerk has told me because I'm not allowed to see who has like, what is it? Like
Free and reduced status.
very
Yeah.
reduced lunches. So like, I don't know who like I don't know which families are in need. How is it that like not having, a family engager at my school, how can I help in that area to help figure out and distribute because I do have stuff in my pantry and I don't want to go back before the end of the year.
Just personally, and if this is like against the rules, someone please speak up. A Google form is wonderful. You can make a Google form. You could ask your secretary to send, or your principal to send it out. And then families that would like a bag of food, can answer the Google form and it stays confidential with you in the front office. Our backpack program might be a little bit different, but each child is just given a number, so their name's not on it. And we try to keep it as dignified as possible. But if you just want to send out like an SOS, like, hey, I have these goods, I don't want to see them go to waste. Stop by our front office. You know, you could sometimes at events, we set up a table. If you have a field day and you have parents coming or end of the year picnic, put the food out. And just put some shopping bags and let families take what they can.
Do you have a school social worker at Wyman? You guys?
I do, yes.
Okay, because my school social worker has helped me. I've also had,
Okay.
teachers approach me that they have noticed like their students extra hungry
Okay.
and I've sent the flyer home. I've even actually had children come up to me and ask, like they see me with the bags and my cart and pushing food saying like, I need food and I will put it in an envelope and give it to the teacher and have them put it in their
Okay.
folder they take home.
I do have my like own newsletter that is like a link part of what my principal sends out for like the weekly Wyman.
Yeah.
And I have put it out there like, hey, if anyone if any families need, and I have had like 0 people reach out to me to say, hey, I'm in, could I have some food? There are a few people like, just like, I'm like, that one probably could use that one. What is the engagement on like, should I just send them home with food or should I wait for the parent to reach out to me?
I have always waited for the return form to come back. And the principal works with me too. Danny Smith's really helpful.
Okay.
It's important to work with your principal and work with yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
like legally, we'll work with the principal and the social worker to ensure that the right information goes out and that you get the right information back. So you're not doing anything outside of the scope.
Okay. Sending something, did you say?
Like just working with your social worker, because who's probably familiar with, like to their
Okay.
point, if they're noticing things in the school, or they're noticing things with the students, or they might even be talking with the parents already.
Okay.
Things like that. And so really working with your social worker, working with the principal, to create a program like that is really important.
Okay.
Yeah, they even reach out to the teachers, like send an email, like if any of the
Yeah.
teachers notice. So
Okay.
Because anything falls on yourself, it's like.
Yeah,
there's a-
yeah. I think, yeah. So I think with the relationships are new.
yeah,
Yeah, as my principal's a first year as well. So I think, it's, so I'm trying to keep up with everything that's, so I don't know how else to be like, how can I reach out to these parents? But, it's very like open door, like, I have, she's like, oh, there's the key, you can take it to give to, but I'm like, I don't know who these parents are. I want to make sure that I'm not imposing and affecting them
Yeah, you don't want to
in a
like
negative way.
insult
So,
Nicole, this may be like some low hanging fruit, but I'm gonna talk about FFPP in a minute, but do you have leftover FFPP snacks? Have you seen them? in the schools? Because we've been seeing in some schools where they're not used that they can put them in a refrigerator and the kiddos will take them home at the end of the day if there are leftovers.
Okay.
I know that's only 2 to 3 days a week, but thinking about something that doesn't require, I guess, a level of permissions and some of those different
Oh, yeah.
procedural things that maybe.
Okay.
We have
Yeah,
that,
that's low-hanging
yeah,
fruit.
in the,
Okay.
Yeah,
we have a
and during
recycle
lunch,
program and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we use our
Shared
fridge,
tables.
Yeah.
yeah,
Recycle rates?
yeah, recycle as well,
Recycle
like
rates?
if kids forget a snack.
Yeah,
Oh, they're
great
allowed to
program.
go get one.
Oh, yeah, like,
Such a
like,
great
they are
program.
all about
Yeah,
it.
it's a great,
Yeah.
my son's
It's
one,
catching
so,
on.
yeah, I'm sure James is.
Oh, James, like,
Oh,
oh,
I'm
no,
sure
we are
James
the
loves it.
liquid. Like, all right.
But as being new, don't be discouraged. I was new to Warwick, the year that my daughter started kindergarten, and, you just have to keep showing up. It feels abrasive, but we're Rhode Islanders, we're New Englanders, but then there's Warwickians. And I'm not a born Warwickian. Don't give up. Your heart's in the right place. We are, as our job is to engage with families. It is not an easy thing to do. You're combating a lot, and most of it doesn't have anything to do with you. We have pride. We have people just thinking like, oh, that's not for me. But it's for, so just that inclusiveness, like what we have to offer is for everybody, so there's that, like, yes, we go off Title I, which is income-based, but nobody knows that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just the logistics of a federal program. But when it comes to our food pantry, when it comes to our events and the things we're doing is for everyone, so it's just it's breaking down those barriers. It's creating a rapport of trust. And that just comes with showing up and being confident in what you're doing, which sometimes you gotta fake it a little bit till you make it, but what you want to do is the right thing. And it will happen.
Okay.
It will happen. So yeah, absolutely. If you have a building leader who is willing to support you, utilize those connections, utilize your connection with your school social worker, make connections with the kids. You could start by school snacks. If you've forgotten your school snack, come on down and see me. And, and then you let the teachers know that these are available, and it does catch on, and it's hard. We're in May, everyone's kind of like, whatever, but they'll remember, and then you hit the ground running in September, and it will catch on.
Okay. And I like the idea too of having them like a event where the parents are there.
Yeah.
To just kind of have the bags and maybe it's just there, and then kind of having a more visible approach for them to.
And if you need bags, I mean, reach out. You can reach out to any of us. I don't know like the logistics of what, but if we have resources that we are allowed to share or guide you in a direction we absolutely will. We want all of our students to thrive.
Yeah.
Our niche is just Title I because that's where our funding comes from, but I would assume if we have students and resources at other schools, we can find ways to utilize that so things don't go to waste.
Thank you.
something to add, like on the school meal side. I have been really trying to stress like instead of calling it the free and reduced meal application, it's the meal benefit application.
Okay.
Because it just has a stigma attached to that sometimes where it's like, oh, I'm not free or reduced. No, I'm not going to fill that out.
Mhm.
That can often be a response, but meal benefit application kind of adds to, it's not just about that, because like they were saying, it goes into title schools. It goes into other grants that we receive in the district, other discounts and E-rate funding that we receive as a district. A lot goes into this, like having families fill them out.
Yeah.
So I mean, appreciate the support on all ends. Like so there's only so much we can do on the food service side. Like we send out a lot of email notifications, text messages, go to all the open houses, and it's just, we're not in the buildings with the kids and the parents and all that. It really, really helps when there are people in the schools helping with that. And you can always send them to our office, like if people have questions. But I wanted to kind of add, I don't know if Cameron shared this with you, but I shared with her, and it's on our school meal page. For the summer, the Sunbucks EBT program was, there's a program, I have it shared on our school meal page if you want more info. I have all the links in there. But the Sunbucks is summer EBT credits that they give to families in need. It's an additional, it's at $120 of extra grocery benefits for kids over the summer. So there are also going to be like meal sites over the summer for families to go to. Unfortunately, Warwick does not have sites this summer. We did not have high enough participation, but I do have contacts for West Warwick as well as Cranston locations. So I can share that as well.
I did just want to make a comment about the Sunbucks, because it is such an incredible benefit for families. And I think the more that you can do now going into the end of the school year to let families know about the benefit, the better, because historically, we've seen low redemption rates of those cards. And oftentimes there's a lot of diligence that goes into cross-checking if children receive them, but they need to know that receiving them. Sometimes they come in the mail and parents are just like, especially in the case of last year's, they were distributed and they had the child's name on them. They didn't have the parent's name. So it's such a great benefit. It's like you said, $120 right on their EBT card. And if they don't participate in SNAP, they get a new card. So just want to put that out there as far as like the communication and just outreach, because the school year end is approaching, and we want to see it be used. So
Yeah. And there is a flyer that I shared. I don't know if that was printed,
Okay, yeah,
but
well,
I can share that over with you guys as well.
That'd be great if you don't mind.
Yeah, I wanted to add, because this is just another barrier, and it is true. It's just additional money that people will get for the summer. They have children, it's not fully utilized. We want as much as possible to get it out. But I was just notified, have you heard this, Sarah, that they're finding that the federal government is now saying if you're getting a new or replacement card for Sunbucks, you have to have so I'll just read to you what it says. What do I need on my mailbox to get my child's card? If you are sent a new or replacement Sunbucks card, the post office requires that you have your child's full name on the outside of the mailbox.
Oh my God.
Which is absurd. Or have your child's first initial and last name inside the mailbox.
is that that's at the federal level, or is that with RIDE? Because I heard that last year, because we did some research around this, and I just have to say that is very problematic.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is,
and
yes. This I
parents, yeah.
received from Kate Bellistraci. She's doing, in her new position, food access work, and she had sent the same, I'm sure, flyer that you have for us to send out on our e-newsletter next month. Again, really trying as much as possible to let everybody know who works with families. Like you guys are so critical. And I'm just going to say, because there's trust there. That's what you've built up over the time. You're in the school, you get to know the families. But this is just absurd. Yeah. People having to put their children's name
This
on the
happened last
outside
year too.
of I was not aware of this. This is the first I've heard of this.
Yeah, we learned that in some of the research that we did too, that was a big
Why they
prohibitor.
weren't getting them?
Because yes, it was a reason why they weren't getting them. And it was also a reason why families were just not willing to do that, of course, because of the safety and perceived safety issues with it.
Yeah, so if you have your card from last summer, it's fine, but if you're getting a new or replacement card. So I can send that to you. I mean,
Kate made a flyer, didn't she? Can we get that?
Kate, yeah, that's what I have right here, so I can send that. Send that around. I don't know if there's anybody, send it just to you.
Yeah, you can share it with me.
Can I mention one other thing, Sean, that I meant to say? It kind of, I think, goes along with the school nurses and the work that you're doing. I recently had a meeting with a clinician at Bradley Hospital, and they have a 5-year research study that they are providing clinical services to children and teens experiencing anxiety or OCD. It's evidence-based treatment. It's basically a exposure therapy, which is the gold standard. They know it works. The issue is that a lot of young people they're not being diagnosed, and they just don't have the wherewithal to be able to go through and have that treatment. So this program, they're now looking for ages 5 to 18 anywhere in Rhode Island. and it will be fully covered. And what I love about this is that they say it's, treating sessions may take place in clinics, homes, or community locations wherever anxiety lives. Because part of that is that with this exposure therapy is having them have shorter, smaller introductions to whatever the anxiety is about. And so it's free. So they're working with insurance, but they are, the model that they're using, and they're working through, here, I'm gonna pull this back up. Thrive Behavioral Health here in Warwick. That would be the community health center. So they're partnering up with licensed clinicians, and then,
The chairman of our school committee is in type with the head of Thrive.
okay, so I wonder, I just think that this is a terrific resource for schools to have. I continue to hear in school settings that there's just a lot of anxiety amongst children and waiting to get, and helping families trying to get an evaluation, a diagnosis, and then to get treatment. I mean, so they're actively looking, and I can send the flyer and the information, but I don't know who that would be. But they are working with Thrive Behavioral Health. Those would be one of the agencies.
I'd be interested.
Yeah.
I'd be interested.
Okay, so is there like, do you have a head nurse, or, you know, again, I don't know the
I
best
wish we
way
did.
to-
But I would send to Ms. Ross. If I had to choose one.
I mean, is this something that you guys would be involved in?
I could post it, I can hang it
Yeah,
up.
we can,
Yeah.
I mean, we can pass information
I
along.
think from your standpoint, maybe just.
Is it
the
a
relationship
flyer?
With the nurses.
There is a flyer. then
Because
I
we
just
do
have an
have like
email
a
with all the
flyer at
information.
Warwick Schools email address, like for posting of flyers on our
Okay.
websites or socials. I don't know if
So
that's.
I just want to make sure I'm sending it to the right
No.
individual or individual.
I have 3 kids with anxiety, so I would actually just like to, I would like to see a flyer.
Okay, yeah. So why don't I send it to you?
Yes,
And then you certainly can contact the principal investigator who's, who's heading the
Absolutely.
project. And then, so I'll just leave it for you. that you-
and I'll actually, again, the person in charge of Thrive is a good friend of the chair of the school committee, so.
Yeah, and
I
they
think
probably
that's-
know,
that's a good-
because
that's a
as
good-
part of this initiative, we are partnering with community
Thrive's
mental health agencies
in Oxford.
statewide.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Team model.
Did you send that?
Yeah, it's, yeah. I didn't say that. We said it's,
Yeah.
it was approved through us.
Okay.
But
so-
that's such an incredible program.
That is
Like,
amazing.
amazing to
I
even
mean,
think,
how would
to
you
think they're doing that.
No.
Well,
You
and
know,
they're just starting, and this is what, but think about it, they don't really know, they're not necessarily thinking of schools, but someone connected them to me, and I'm like, schools are the place there where you have to be. They know all of these students, and then they know the families, and they know which kids are in need. And what I love about this, again, is it's not, because that's always a barrier too, right? You can get an evaluation, you can get a diagnosis, you can have a family that really wants to, they just can't get there. So this is wherever is best for that child, whether it's at school, whether it's at home, whether it's at the community health center, wherever it is, that they're going to be there. And they're trying to increase capacity by, so it's a team-based model of care pairing licensed clinicians with trained non-licensed staff. This approach significantly increases workforce capacity and helps agencies, and one of which is Thrive Behavioral Health in Warwick, provide specialized anxiety and OCD treatment without long delays. So they're saying youth ages 5 to 18 can begin receiving treatment right now through the following participating agencies. And it is, as they say, the evidence-based treatment. There's just not a question that this is the gold standard for treatment. So I think it would just be
Because
That's
it does
great.
take so long to get, I mean, we have, I'm just thinking of a few right now in my
Did you
head
know?
that would
yeah.
be like, oh, because, parents, they can't get in, or it's taking so long, and it gets worse, and it just gets compounded day after day by the fears of whatever the fear may
Right.
be.
Well, I think that,
You know?
right, it's a systems issue.
Right.
And so that's what this project is looking to addressed. So it's a 5-year study. They've gotten funding for it. I think they're looking to increase because we all know there aren't enough clinicians. So they're looking to increase that capacity by having trained, they may not be licensed, but trained, and then partnering with the licensed clinician to be able to provide it and to be able to provide more services. So they need to have enrolled, they have it in, I think she said Portuguese too, I believe, Spanish, English, and Portuguese. But I'll send it through you, Sean,
Sure.
and then you can, yeah, I think that
I'll get it
your
to you.
nurses,
Yeah.
and even if it's not, I know one of the things that she also said was she would be delighted to, and maybe it's not now, but I'm thinking of what you said about once a month. Like, I know there've always been, when there's been, parent presentations on anxiety, because parents are trying to address this too with their kids or even the parents themselves.
Yeah.
So they would be happy to come in and to do a presentation too. So that's something that,
Yeah, we could do, something like Healthy Habits, where it's a 5-week workshop where we meet once a week and families come in and we go over the, you know, we could do the program in that capacity, and anything where parents don't have to find childcare at their local school. Accessibility is the name of the game.
absolutely.
So,
I
yeah,
think our social workers having that information.
yes,
They're,
they're even
you know,
partnering
they're the
together.
crux of you know, that are working with the students to
Yeah.
address those issues.
Yeah, I would think absolutely. So I don't know, again, Sean, I was just gonna, if I send it
Yeah.
to you,
I'll,
and then you would be able to, you know, you can review it. If you want to contact, your information is right here. If you had any questions, or have one of your social workers look at it, or, you know, the nurses, but then to be able to disseminate it throughout the district. And it can certainly be now, before the end of the year, parents could, you know, sign up now or for next school year, because they'll be looking to do it.
Okay.
Then as
oh,
well.
that's great.
Okay.
It's, sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a parent of, you know, my son, we both
Yeah,
have
I
that
like
son, so. But he does have that affliction passed on by his father, so.
Well, you know, you also gotta look at the environment that they're in.
Yeah. So that's, thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
Thank you. And I'll make sure it gets in everybody's hands. I'll make sure it gets in your hands. I'll make sure it gets into the principals, Mr. Dillon and Mr. Gibbons as well. And then go from there.
Yeah, put up.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Sorry, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Happy to. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Amin. I'm an associate professor in the nutrition department at the University of Rhode Island. I also work with several community nutrition education programs, including one I want to talk a little bit with you all today. I live in Warwick. I live right down the street from Lyman. My son is going to be in kindergarten there next year. So I have a personal and professional interest in this group and really excited to work with you all.
Great.
And I brought with me some flyers on our FFEP program. So just some background super briefly. I know you have an agenda, so I'll be quick. I wanted to bring this up because the program was actually it started in Lyman this year. So the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program is a federal program that's administered through the USDA. And it is a fruit and vegetable tasting program. So students get any parents here or, you know, teachers in the classroom, they'll see that there's usually 2 to 3 fruit and vegetable snacks that come to schools each week. And what we're doing in the Department of Nutrition at University of Rhode Island is we have a community nutrition educator. Her name's Stephanie Carlisle. She's pictured on the back here. And she has been working with schools to deliver the curriculum. And there's 2 parts to this. There's the tasting piece, which is, you know, getting children exposed to fresh fruits and vegetables. And so I was talking with Kayla about this as I worked as the farm to school coach for this district as well. And I understand a lot of schools have FFEP, which is great. But one of the things that we're doing at URI is that we are looking at, are the kids, we're serving it to them, but are they eating it? And so we collected some data this year looking at fruit and vegetable selection, consumption, and waste. And I like to frame the opportunities. We see that there's room to grow when it comes to fruit and vegetable consumption. And we know that kiddos oftentimes need a lot of repeated exposure in order for them to develop a preference. And so with some of the work that we were doing this year, And in our conversations with teachers, because we also had this program, not only in Warwick, we had it in Woonsocket as well. So we aim to work with roughly 1 to 2 school districts a year. But since I personally live in Warwick, it'll happen in Warwick every year. You'll have us. But the thing about this is we noticed that the fruits and vegetables were not even getting to the children's mouths. They would be in the classroom. Sometimes we'd see them, and they're free, right? And so that's why I think about it from, a food recovery standpoint, that, if you can give them out and donate them at the end of the day, that's great. But the goal of this flyer is to really share a little bit more about the program. But one of the exciting things that we're weaving in this next iteration of the program is that, given some of the sensory issues that children have with trying and selecting new fruits and vegetables, a colleague of mine, her name's Meg Simeone, she's a speech language pathologist. She's going to be advising on the curriculum development for next year, and we're hoping to integrate more sensory approaches for kiddos. So in other words, when they get these snacks, we want to provide teachers with, a sensory framework, so that whether this child is a neurodiverse child or just, is a picky eater and needs some tricks to help to try the new food, we're going to work with this SLP to help develop the curriculum so we can get some of those services also to reach schools as well. As a parent of a neurodivergent child, it's something I'm thinking about as he goes to OT and speech. And so I'm really excited that we'll have this expertise, and I'm happy to share this feedback with you and information, and here as a resource, here as a participant, and as a parent. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
In the speech URI program, my son is graduating Saturday, but he grabbed the bags and he brought it home for my little one, my 10-year-old.
That's what we want to see.
And he shared the different types of fruits and vegetables, and they would actually cook together. So that he bought the little brown bag every day from school. So he did grab them. So it was.
Good. Yeah.
You got one successful student.
Yeah,
There you
hey,
go.
we like a
So-
success story. So thanks for sharing.
And it's bringing into Hoxie. So my little one is really into it. My middle one eats Chipotle all the way. So yeah.
Thanks.
We had, Rocks comes and delivers the fruit for us, and they sent blood oranges, so the kids were going, blood oranges. And they're looking at them, because it's got this big blob of bread, they're like, and I'm like, come in here, and I opened one up, and they were awesome.
Yeah.
But one of the kids did it and liked it. It was so funny, because to look at it, I mean, the name of it, blood
Of
oranges,
course.
like,
Yes.
I don't think I want that.
So, yeah.
I will say, quickly, so that this is part of the program, and somehow Sarah and I got connected, and it's been great since, and she's the one who kind of helped me get to this program. They came to Wyman, and because I said, hey, I want my kids to eat healthy. Lots of times they're coming to me and they're like, I have a bellyache. Okay, what'd you have for breakfast? Marshmallows. Okay, I don't know what to do for you. But I want them to eat healthy. And so I said, how can I get these kids to eat healthy? This is part of what I want to do. And Stephanie, Sarah that had mentioned, her colleague, who with another woman, Maria, they brought this to Wyman. There was this component of Stephanie and Maria would be teaching some components of it, but another part would be where the teacher would be giving these lessons that Stephanie and Maria have they've done an excellent job of making it very spoon-fed, very easy, and they are for grades 3, 4, and 5. I really wanted to teach it to the class, but I knew that wasn't logistically going to be able. I wasn't going to be able to leave my room. I can't even do
A
that.
little too much going.
Yes. And so my phys ed teacher, and again, this is part of I know this is where we're at. This is where I want to be. How do I get there? And my phys ed teacher, Mrs. Bottoff, ended up being excellent. She stepped up to the plate and she said, I teach them nutrition. I'm going to do these lessons in January. January is my nutrition month with them. And she was able to, when she would have the 3rd grade class, she would teach the lessons to them, 4th grade class and 5th grade class. And that's how they got the data, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We took all your waste. Yeah.
I'm so sorry they wasted.
No,
so much.
it's, we like to, again, we try to frame it in a positive way because also we don't want to signal that there's waste happening with this program because it's an excellent program. So I say like, there's just opportunities for them to eat more. And so, but one of the things you cited that I didn't get to mention and that I do want to share with everyone is that alongside the snacks, the curriculum piece is something that, like you said, my colleague Stephanie trains teachers in, and it's 8 to 9 very flexible lessons that can be taught by the classroom teacher, PE or health teacher, that aligns with the standards for health and nutrition content. And so the lessons are, they pick them up and they're ready to go. So if you have teachers that, or if you're interested, it's available on our website, so you can access them for free. I can also get you a hard copy as well, but we want to see the lessons get out there and we want to see it helping teachers with addressing these topics. So again, anyways,
Mrs. Bottoff thought that they were excellent, and she thought that that other phys ed and health teachers would benefit from it also. So I thought that was great. It's a really good program. And eventually we'll get a compost system to go into my Gatsby garden.
and some raised beds. I'm working on that too.
Exactly.
So again, our agenda is more open now. Again, got you're here, got 3 yards, and if anyone else has anything, Ryan, if you want to say anything about what you have experienced in the past, again, this is the first time I've gotten to meet you. I know that you have been a part of this for a while with Karen prior to me, but I'm not sure if you.
Yeah. Well, I just think this is all great that we're all here. It's a much bigger turnout than the last time I was here, so that's good to see. And I'm just here to observe. Just one thing that I'm kind of observing is this, it seems like there's a lot of systems in place for kids in schools to, whether they're struggling in reading or math, there's intervention available for them. And there's education around nutrition. It just, I feel like there's space for a health and wellness intervention or a phys ed intervention in the kids' experience at school. And my issue with phys ed is just like you don't really know what's going on with the kids in school. It's like the grading system doesn't really deliver the message to the parents if the kids are struggling physically. And I'm biased, but probably the antidote or like a strong treatment for mental health is moving your body.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so I would love to see some phys ed or health intervention implemented.
So I could probably, going back to like my first meeting doing this. So my background is in athletics. I've been, not that I look athletic, not that I can do anything athletic anymore, but I am the president of Washington Football League down the street. I'm involved in baseball, I'm involved in basketball, and I'm involved in soccer. I'm involved in a sport all year round. There isn't one thing I'm not involved in. I actually coach my son in soccer. Thank God her husband is part of the team or I'd be dead because he can actually fit. He is physical and in good shape. But the goal is, and we talked about this, is that to Karen's point, that it was 80, it was meant to be a food and, an obesity level problem back in 2009. What we are trying to do is try to open up things like I mentioned at the beginning about the intramural sports we're trying to do in middle school. It opens up these types of conversations where physical activity, whether or not you're feeling your child or children are getting the activity they need or the outdoor time they need. Do I think they should get more time even on the school? Absolutely. Do I think that my son in high school should get gym one time a year? Absolutely not. Like I think that, I mean, having kids, especially in that secondary age, and it's not for you. Students can't. You're not in charge of the stuff. We know who takes care of that scheduling element of it. But we want to. I mean, my goal during my time here is to give kids more time to be active. So to your point, when my kids are active, they're better. They're healthier, but not only are they healthier, they're thinking clearer. They're they're eating better. I give credit to, one of my son's coaches at that program who just basically pushed him to go to the gym, and he goes to the gym every day, which pushed my oldest son to go to the gym every day. I'm not going to do it, but they go to the gym. So I think that these conversations are going to morph, especially as we get into it is tough this time of year being in May, but like as we ramp up and as I get my feet wet underneath this committee, it's going to be everything that's at this table. Like everything, from eating well to moving. Mr. Ricks is a huge proponent of that as well, as he's been in athletics his whole life. We know the benefits of kids being active. We know the benefits of kids being part of a team. It reduces, bullying, it reduces everything. And I truly, I heed your word. I do believe that there's probably more we can do. I'm very close to the gym teacher at my son's school because I've known him my whole life. I know exactly what he does and know exactly what they do every day. My son has gym on Mondays. He knows exactly what he tells me. He's literally jumping in the car ready for gym because that's what he wants to do because he knows he only has it 1 day a week. But incorporating the flag football elements, like NFL gave every one of the schools flag football to do. That school absolutely does flag football. Anytime they can be outside, they're outside. They're getting fresh air. They're moving. They have to be inside because of days like today. They're still moving, doing the things they need to do. From a grading standpoint, I can't speak to that because I'm not part of the. You can always reach out to anyone in our administration. They would actually, go over the grading elements of. I'm not sure if you want to.
Are you speaking specifically to the elementary report cards?
That's the one I'm most familiar with.
Yeah, when they get to secondary ed, it goes back to the report card that we are accustomed to. Elementary report cards.
It's very different.
Not saying this is even the place to get into this, but I mean, they're obsolete. I don't know what they're telling you.
Yeah.
Grading a child on a scale from 1 to 4, and 4 being unattainable is silly. I'm going to be a little frank in this moment because I'm sure everyone wants to get out of here soon. This is phenomenal. I am proud to be part of this community, but follow through is lacking. We have all these committees, we have all these subcommittees, and I am proud and willing to be a part of anyone that will have me. I have been a part of many and not invited back, so I'm sure that I'm saying things that people don't want to hear in sub. But we're advocating for movement. We're advocating for all these things, but then we are taking our teachers' freedoms away. I've seen teachers get in trouble for taking their students for a 5-minute walk around the building. What are we doing? What are we really doing from the Chromebooks? And I know this is a way larger conversation than right now. But we are being contradictory in a lot of areas. And there are so many people with so many good ideas and so many good things, but there are so many minutes and hours in the day. And our teachers are one person, and our IEPs are outweighing general education. It's a general education setting, and we're promising everyone an individualized education program. It's not attainable for one person. We're really shooting ourselves in the feet in a lot of these areas. And if we want to advocate for movement and we know what calms anxiety down and we have these resources, how, when we're battling reading and writing and testing, how can we truly start to incorporate these things?
We're kind
At a policy level.
I was
So-
gonna say,
so-
off
so-
of
so
that,
we-
it's not like Warwick specifically.
No, and I'm
Because
not
there
saying-
are like
I'm
all
like,
these different
I'm saying
mandates and
we have like a huge systematic
it's
issue
almost
here.
like a state
So,
level kind of
With,
discussion.
like, how do we really truly try to take steps forward? So these ideas, which are wonderful, and these people who care, we're coming together. How do we really
There's two
set
things.
this foundation?
And again, it is an interesting form to talk about this, but I would say this just because it's been a crappy week, and I'll just say it out loud. At the end of the day, we are bound by two things. We're bound by state regulations through RIDE, and RIDE dictates, to Kayla's point, everything that we do. And then we're held, every teacher is held hostage by their contract. So, and I'll leave that, and I know it's on camera and it will be,
No, and
it will be viewed by people who don't like what I just said. But, the things that you want is not being taken away by the people who want to have it, like to your point, that want to have it happen. It's being taken away at the state level by RIDE. That's where our money went. You know, we're getting pigeonholed by different things, and why we don't have money for these programs is because they focus on other things, by our city. These are all things, so it is it's a much larger, which I'm more than happy to have that conversation with.
Yes, and I'm
I
not
would
trying to
say-
bring up something that's,
I
here
would say
nor
that
there,
it's not health and wellness
It's not-
related, but I would
it
say
is
that.
health and wellness
How is
because
that not health and
But no,
wellness?
I don't mean it in a bad way. I meant in a way that for this committee, in the sense that the questions are bigger than
right now.
we
And
know.
I
And the
understand.
answers, what we can do here is try to get our little bit of what we can do for Warwick. Like, what can we do? You just educated a whole other side of the city on what Title I does, right? And they are taking your ideas, and that's what we want to do from these meetings.
Absolutely.
And then, I think the next steps, for getting better is, we need to, advocation for kids doesn't happen at 10 o'clock at night on a Monday night. Like that, I'll say that, and people who know what that means is that they talk about the school budget at 10 o'clock at Monday night. I'm not sure if anyone who has kids, if you're gonna go to a meeting at 10 o'clock on Monday night. I have kids.
I'm in bed.
I have kids. I'm on the school committee. And I'm not going to that meeting. So, but I can't. I am happy because I see you almost every day. I am more than happy to talk to you about the other.
I would love
levels.
it. I would like to be more educated. I am very passionate for all children, not just my own children, for all of us that are spending our time and our careers and our livelihoods to try and do the right thing. Like it's possible, and it doesn't have to happen through hurting someone's ego or saying the wrong thing. Like, it is possible, and I do believe it is the end game of everyone. If we can speak more frankly. And really just be real, and it's baby steps, but it is at a foundational level in our elementary schools. From what I see, and I don't mean any disrespect by anything I've said, but
It's not anything that's been
To-
made from a pulpit. So
I want to see success. I want to see success out of all the things that you're doing, Sean, and all the things from what everyone said. And I know it's possible, but I've seen a lot of resources wasted.
One of those is actually being pulled back, and I'm not elementary, so I don't wanna, but the K through 12 Chromebook initiative is being pulled back because we're seeing
It's horrid.
too much screen time for kids. There's enough documentation. It's not beneficial.
Well, thank
Parents aren't in favor of
the
it.
Lord if we're allowed to do that in this setting.
I ran on. I
Yeah,
ran
well, thank
specifically
God.
to get rid of Chromebook.
And there's a lack of education on that. You give a kindergartner a Chromebook and you're like, here, find the games. Because I'm not gonna teach you, so thank you for saying that. 'Cause I
So there
didn't
are
know that.
small changes taking place.
Yeah, and that,
And that
Can I
probably
just make a
just
point
shows
of
the power
clarification about
of
physical
people.
activity though? Because we're talking about extramural sports and there's research to suggest that improved physical activity and an improved physical activity environment, in other words, policies, practices associated with the physical activity environment in the school setting, is actually associated with improved academic achievement.
Yeah.
So we've been working, and again, because I've researched this, and so I'm just going to call it for what it is. We've been working for a long time to try to convince administrators that having kids sitting in seats is going to improve academic achievement. We're lying to ourselves if we keep that story going. And focusing on extramural sports is not going to get at it because that's not equitable and accessible to all kids. And trust me, I was an athlete. It taught me socialization skills. It taught me how to communicate. It taught me the importance of teamwork. It taught me how to commit myself to something that I enjoy doing. But if we are not allowing our kids to get up and move freely, and again, I understand there are union contracts around this, but Karen Wetherell's here and she oversees the district wellness committees and the policies that come out of this work, right? And there are conduits to make these things happen.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying,
Yeah.
sir. If you look at your policy, I don't have it right in front of me, but most of them do say, whether they say it's encouraged or teachers will, the policies will say, give movement breaks during the school day. So I think going back to that policy, doing a baseline analysis, having all of the schools complete the implementation assessment, and not to say you're being scored on this, it's being sent to RIDE. It's not. It's just for this committee and for those principals and the staff at the schools to say, just like you're doing, let's reflect on really what we're doing here. What might we be able to change? And then I think it's, because you're right, there can be policy at the state level. And, you know, you've got some, let's face it, where the money's really, where the budgets happen and the talks are in the legislature, right? And so, you know, you've got to have good relationships with your representatives and senators. You've got to have good relationships at the district. And you're saying where things are happening here, it's local, it's state, but it also is in the schools. And when you can find out, hey, what, you're a big district, so there's different sides of the city. What's working at that school? And if you can show a teacher that's modeling something and saying, this works, this is what we're doing, this is what I'm doing in my classroom in our school, and our principals supporting this around, let's get up and, you know, allow that to happen where kids can get a break and go for a walk around the building, or, you know, whatever it is that we're doing, and then show that for other schools. What I wanted to say to you, Ryan, was maybe something to look at, because I know what you're saying is around PE in particular. How does the student know, or parents know, like and you could clearly talk about what are the, you know, what makes a fit person? It's flexibility, it's cardio, it's strength, right? So you're really looking at how fit, what can I do to improve myself, just like you've learned in any other class. There are fitness assessments, and many districts purchase. Are you familiar with Fitness Gram?
Fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
sign
whether
up
you
for it.
think that that's an appropriate assessment, but there definitely are some assessment tools that the PE teachers as a district that you could use that might get to what you're saying, which is you have your physical education program, but how do parents or students really know what they can do for their own? Because I think that's what about teaching them, because we should all be able to do this for the rest of our lives. What are our goals for fitness, right? And that's going to change as we age, but how does a young person learn that? I don't know if
But
that's.
it also starts
Yeah,
at the
that's-
district level too. So there could be policies that are set, for example, to require at minimum 30 minutes of physical activity a day. I've seen it done in Massachusetts schools, so I know that it can happen. So it can happen at the district level, but there has to be a motivation and impetus and a drive to make that happen. And it can trickle up to the district wellness policy. So that is in our
That's
jurisdiction.
kind
to
of
do
like
that.
our wellness policy.
Yeah,
It would be the-
exactly.
that
Yeah,
is
and that's what we
bringing
tried.
it
So
there.
for example, we were involved with a group that had a recess law passed, right? So what we were hearing, and this goes back, 13 years, was that there were a lot of schools that were taking away recess. They're like instructional minutes. You didn't do your homework. You're going to stay in for recess. You got to stay in for recess. And exactly what Sarah's saying, research shows it's actually doing the opposite of what you wanted. In particular, it's not helping. Just because saying you're not understanding this concept, we're going to teach you the same thing and we're going to do it for another half hour. You're going to sit in the chair. They need to. We all do, but children in particular, right? And now we've learned post-COVID that those breaks in times around physical activity, around recess, are an opportunity for them to practice getting along, you know, playing a game together, using their bodies and moving and understanding how they move in space. But we've kind of gotten away from that. And then as well, this notion that like it all needs to be adult-led, you know, and that not allowing kids to have that opportunity, you know, themselves. So we started this, we got that law passed. So now, and you have it in your policy, every elementary school should have 20 minutes. And then we started the Recess Rocks in Rhode Island program, which all of the Warwick elementary schools have participated in, but we continue to offer trainings. And this is around how do you set up your playground and how do you offer different options so that kids can, all of them, be active. You don't have the wall. I mean, you would go into some schools and there were kids who are like, I don't know how to play. I'm not good at soccer. They're all playing a game up there. So I'm just going to sit at the wall and just hope that this recess time ends because I don't have anyone to play with. I don't know what to do. And now it's really encouraging, you know, all kids, and then to be kind to each other, to be inclusive play. So I mean, I think that's an example of a state initiative, you know, with.
I was a part of that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, great. I don't know how you thought, which school? Or you were-
Hoxie, we did in 21.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I
I
have,
implement
It was
the,
21.
Yeah, it was
recess rocks at, Lippitt right now. It's a
Oh,
really good
uh-huh.
program.
Oh, I'm
great
glad to hear
program.
that.
It's a
great,
really,
it's a phenomenal.
it's a really good program.
Phenomenal program.
The kids love it, and we just formed a student advisory committee to help them help maintain the program. for
Oh,
the-
are you doing the junior coach model?
Yes,
Oh, great,
yes.
yeah,
So
that's
it's
where it
working
takes
really
it to the
well.
next
Hoxie
level.
does it,
Yeah,
Norwood does it.
I know, Norwood.
So, yeah, it's,
Oh, I'm glad to hear.
every
What
day
is
it
it?
gets better. Every day
Recess
there's
Rocks,
more
Recess
kids
Rhode Island?
participating, and fewer of the people holding up the wall, you know, so it's getting better, for sure.
I can send it.
I don't, then, I
Karen,
don't,
do you mind explaining what,
Yeah.
Recess Rocks is?
Yeah, so it was after the law was passed, again, we believe that, you know, you pass a law, you have this requirement in schools, but really it's what can we do to support them? To again, make recess so that it's a better experience, certainly for the kids, but also for the teachers and the recess aides and the nurses that oftentimes are like, recess, you know, is when we get most kids coming in because there's injuries and whatnot.
you've been
So-
in my office before.
Yeah, so we created a partnership with Blue Cross Blue Shield, fully funds this. Playworks of New England, which are sort of the experts in play, and then Rhode Island Healthy Schools Coalition. And we offer, it is a 2-day training program, not for the kids, like people said, what are you teaching kids how to play? And it's really, we're training the adults in the school on, first off, so that they value play, that they understand, as Sarah said, those connections to why play is so important for young kids and how it's going to support learning and support them going back into the classroom for the afternoon. But again, how do you, ideas on cooperative games, Ben, we want that. How do you set up a playground so there are choices? You're not telling kids what they have to do. How do you have rules so that these younger kids can play and include all kids too who want to? So it's a 2-day training, and then the Playworks coach comes, observes a recess, looks to see what's working well, what do you need help with. Every single year we offer a program, active indoor recess, because we know here in New England, you're going to get stuck being inside. And again, that tends to be where it's just sit down, be quiet, you know, read a book.
More
You know, that
Chromebooks.
wasn't-
Yeah.
Yeah, or work on your homework, right? Instead of saying, what are safe, but what are ways that you can play a game and get kids up and moving in a space, or use other space? How do you use a hallway? How do you use, you know, the space inside your building? And again, it's based on years of Playworks working with schools across the country and learning what can work. So I think it's like 126 schools, elementary schools now in the state. But Warwick has had, I don't know if it's every single one yet.
Yeah, I think
I think
they all went through in
They all went through.
2024.
Okay, right.
I just took it in February because I was new to it. but,
Yeah, because who was it? Patty Cousineau.
Yes, Patty
She was
had
great
everybody
working
go
with her.
through, and I have a list of all the people who participated in 2024 for all 12 elementary schools, including the preschool. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's a really
So,
strong.
and it's
program.
like anything else, it's the sustainability, because
Yeah.
people change, you lose staff, you move, now then there's something, are we doing this? And that's why we continue to have even, we call them program growth visits, where Jesse, who's the coach, will come back out. How are you doing? Where do you need help with this? So it does take, a leader, but it's important. We learned from our first years, we then would require that the principal take part, the PE teacher, and then whoever the principal chooses on the staff, because we learned we need to have that leader. And I know I heard from several principals over the course of the year saying when they'd all show up in, their sweatpants and their sneakers, it was almost the best, staff, development, like just working with other people in your schools and the principal. You're all playing games again, remembering what it's like, to be a kid and how you learn.
So you're saying all the elementary schools got trained in 2024, but obviously I'm new. It's 2025, 26 school year. My principal's new, and I have no idea what this is. So something
so-
I've lost. I'll go
I
back
have a
to.
list of if there's still anybody remaining in each of the buildings that went
Yeah.
through the training. So I could find out if
Yeah.
someone from Wyman, I can tell
I'd
you
love
who
to know,
went.
yeah,
Well,
and I'll
Wyman
connect with
definitely
them.
was involved. And,
Yeah, they definitely. will.
Yeah, and I'm sure, whether they're or they're not there, you can just, I can have you reach out to Ryan Raffinelli.
Okay.
Ryan will tell you what's going on too, but I guarantee you, your gym teacher was involved. There's no doubt in my mind she was involved in that
Okay.
program. So,
Yeah, they were.
and if you already have a relationship with her, that's where we talk to.
Okay,
But you need people like her that you like, the current point, you need the principal and you need somebody to run the program. So you need a Kurt, you need the gym teacher to be involved, you need a principal involved. You can't be just you, like, again, I know I think you would do everything. I think if they gave you everything to do, you teach every class, you do the nurse, you'd be the nurse, everything. So I get it. But it's true. I've known you for about 3 meetings. I can tell that you're literally probably the most invested person in work at this point. Besides your wife.
so invested.
So,
just one last thing.
Sure.
This is a next year thing, but I do want to throw it out there because I agree. And again, as a former athlete, and I'm like sports, physical activity, mental health, I'm here for it. I have come across something called a bus bike, and in the future, I want to talk to people about how to run on a bus bike. There's a phys ed teacher from the Boston area, and he started a bus bike, and now he does it. He travels all around. He gets famous people. I may have showed a clip of it to a few of my fourth graders, and they were like, "Oh, we want to do that." So,
Perfect in Gatsby too. It's like the perfect neighborhood. for
and
it.
yeah, so we can talk about the next year, but like it's a thought of like how can we get kids like ride on their bike to school and from school and getting that energy out in the beginning of the day, so when they're sitting in the classroom they're ready to learn. Or
My kid rides his bike every day.
my son writes his bike
Yeah.
every day.
Okay.
So 100%. Yeah.
I think there's only like 2 kids right now that like from Wyman out of the 260 that are regularly riding their bike. So I'm
There were
like,
4, that's it.
yeah. Yes, I want to get more. So
No,
I'm
I-
here to support the physical
Yeah,
activity.
and
aspect
I
of it,
think
too.
our next meeting, which is gonna be closer to the start of school year, is gonna be, again, the amp up to those programs. So at the idea, if you send me information of the person, I don't know anything.
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
it, But,
And I think I'm just gonna call it out here. I just looked up your policy and here it is under before, after school physical activity. Schools will work with the community and families to create ways for students to walk and bike safely to and from school and provide secure storage for bicycles and helmets. So there's things you have it in the policy. Your policy in many ways may be somewhat aspirational, but it's there. Let's use it as a roadmap and then say, and I don't think everything can be solved day one. So sometimes committees get a little too, it's very hard. This is great, all of these ideas, but I think let's do the assessment, find out from the buildings, from each school, how they measure up with policy. And then it's really asking them too, where do they need some improvement? And then the committee can look. And then I always think you have to go where there's energy. If you got a good idea, and you have someone who's willing to lead it and maybe knows that's a good place to go, but I think it's then finding a few things. So for next year, you've got a few goals that you can say, we're going to focus on this and we're going to get it done.
Yeah, and Kristen, who's not here tonight, unfortunately, she had a meeting donor as well. She and I have talked, she's been doing that. So I know you provided to her, and I know she's been doing it. So she's been looking at that policy, like verbatim, like literally line for line. That's why I didn't want to bring it up, because I know it's being looked at by policy. But based on everybody's time, I know it's been a long meeting. I'm gonna motion to adjourn, and I'm hoping everybody agrees. Only because my son is waiting for me. But I want to thank you all for coming, and I'm gonna adjourn. So it means I gotta stop this.
So, out of curiosity,